come along on this journey with me. On this episode, I really hope to get a lot more accomplished than I have lately. I've already been working on several of the things that you'll be seeing. You may not detect it, but on my last episode, I was getting pretty discouraged at my progress. But we're starting to make some leaps and bounds that moving forward. I'm going to tell you about them. I'm going to take you on a little walk. I have things to do this morning besides the cottage. I need to walk down to the lake to check out a boat. We've had some rough weather, and I'm going to make sure it's still covered. It's a beautiful morning here, November morning in the Pacific Northwest. Our lake is quiet, like glass. I'll show you when we get down there. Our mountain is looking down on us. And here's the healing hut. You'll notice right away, one big change, I now have doors, thanks to my son. So last time I was getting pretty discouraged that the electricity work had taken months. That got me way behind. And then I have a pretty severe shoulder injury. I still don't know exactly what I tore, but this is 6 weeks out and it's still quite painful. I'm not going to the doctor because I've already torn my rotator cuff beyond repair. So I know there's nothing simple like that. Plus, I'm not a good surgical candidate due to my cancer, chemotherapy, and all those things that it would put me at high risk for serious complications. So I'm trying to rehab my shoulder the best I can. Boy, we have a heavy dew this morning. I have a wooden sailboat that I pulled in as weather started getting bad, and I put a tent up over it. But I haven't been down there because I've been working on the cottage in about a week, and I want to make sure everything's still covered up. So on this episode, I'm going to tell you the things that we're going to be doing. One, I'm going to complete a 4-foot, maybe it's probably more like 38 inches, 36 inches stripe of stonework. Speaking of stonework, here's a bridge I built a number of years ago. I really like doing stonework, a little creek. So I'm going to finish that, and I'm not going to, well, I'm going to be finishing it today, I think, because we have some good weather. And I'll let you watch me working on it. But then I want to show you the finished product because it's coming out exactly the way I had imagined. And a lot of Americans will say, well, that doesn't look very good. Because they're used to this American stonework that's artistic. I'm doing stonework that's historic. I want you to look at the stonework. Oh no, there's what I come to check on, and it's a complete disaster. Holy cow. My tent was over the boat. It's been lifted up. It was lifted up and carried away. So I can't fix this by myself. I'm gonna wait till my wife is home tonight and see if we can get it back in place. It doesn't look torn or anything, but we had a really bad windstorm. And the boat is dry. That's good. Got a limb in it. Wow, this is not what I expected at all. So that's why I came down here. So I have other things I have to keep my mind on besides cottage work. But this tent was sitting down here in the water over this boat. And here's our beautiful morning lake in November. So I'm going to be doing the stonework. And I'll show you that when it's done. And the other thing I'm going to be doing today, oh, there's our chair sticking up in the lake. We have winter storms here that always have really high winds, and that's what happened this week. There goes a blue herring. We have several of those nesting. We have ducks. We have bald eagles. We have otters. We had beavers. I haven't seen beavers in a while, nor have I seen any of the trees they gnawed on, so I have a feeling they're gone. Anyway, so to move forward, the next thing I need to do is have my plumbing tested, my above slab plumbing tested by putting water in it. This includes all the vent pipes, all the drains. I've turned on my pressurized water. It's fine, no leaks. Hallelujah. However, I've had a real problem with my vent pipes. First of all, I didn't know I was going to have to do this. So I don't know if I'd probably glue them better. The vent pipes, you know, they just carry air. I'll probably glue them better if I knew they had to hold water. But the last time the county guy was here, I had a P-trap made for the wash machine in the slab. He saw it when we poured the concrete. However, He said, oh, nope, I got to see it today. And I said, well, it's there. And he said, nope, according to code, and he's right, according to code, it has to be visible above the slab. So I put in another P-trap, and it was very difficult to do that. I'm telling you this story, the saga. And I bought some fancy new kind of glue for PVC that doesn't require any prep, not that I didn't want to do prep, it just sounded like the glue was better. So I glued this P-trap, had like 7 joints that I glued, and 4 of them leaked. So I tried patching them with more glue 4 times, and it's a big ordeal pressurizing the water lines. It's complicated, and they failed and failed. So yesterday, I may show you some video of this. I cut out the old P-trap and had to put in a brand new P-trap. So I'll let the glue dry overnight, and today I'll test it. So if it tests, proof that it's watertight, I'll call the county tomorrow and see if I can get that inspected. Because if it's inspected and approved, then the next step is insulation. And I've already had an insulator come out, a contractor. And fortunately, the price was reasonable enough that that I'm going to have them put the insulation in maybe next week. And then I can start putting up drywall. That's exciting. I'll probably put up my heat pump about that time and start putting some heat inside so I can work inside for the whole winter. I won't do more stonework. So that's what we're going to do this episode. Thanks so much for coming along, and I hope you're having a good autumn. And I hope your days are beautiful this day. This still may have water in it from my test yesterday. We'll find out here quickly. Yep. Oh, that's what I was afraid of. All right. Well, I got my P-trap back. Second P-trap. What a lot of work. 10 hours on this. Putting the first P-trap in, testing the water, it leaks, trying to fix the leaks, testing again, it leaks, test again, it leaks, tear it out, and then put this one in. Anyway, I'm going to quit for a little while, take a break. I got to turn my lights out. But I'm going to show you my doors from the outside of the cottage. It's so nice having lights. So again, my doors are not done yet, but and these doors I have recycled like so much of the products here. And here's my ball is down in there to plug the line to put water in. I'll retest it tomorrow. I just did my 5th water test for my drain lines, and I am sadly to say it failed. It's so frustrating, but the good news is my P-trap that I put in, a new P-trap, did not leak this time. Not at all. I don't think so. No. I keep seeing shadows thinking it's water, but no. But I had 2 more new leaks up high where I put the red tape. Those leaks I think I can fix easily I hope, by drying it out, adding more glue. And then there's a nut here that leaked, and I just need to put some thread tape on that. So I'm going to take care of this, and then I'm going to go out and bring you with me, and I'm going to finish my 4-foot wall, my stone wall, and that'll be all the stonework I do until next summer. want to bring you along as I finish up my last rock work. It's a beautiful day. You can look at my mountain up here. I've been doing plumbing all morning, and I hate plumbing so much. And I love rock work. Rock work usually goes pretty easy for me, where plumbing is always a nightmare. So I got to put up maybe a couple more rocks. Then I'm going to be filling in my mortar joints. My mortar got a little bit wet today. Yesterday was a little dry, and I only had 2 bags left, so I couldn't thicken it up any. So that's okay. I can work with it, but I prefer to be a little bit more dry, and to get it an old look, you know, hundreds of years old look, by adding just a little bit of brown. And I found the best way for me to put mortar in joints. I call it my baseball method, because it really seats it well. This is, again, a little bit too wet, but it might thicken out as time goes on. It won't thicken out much. And you want to build a little lip for your next stone that's coming up. And I might work right here. I want to expose. There it is. I don't have to, but it's a space filler. Okay, and then, so I put the mortar on, I try to get it spread out right, and then I'll come back later when it's thickened, smooth it out more. Then I have to do a wash, a water wash, and then, and then at the end, the next day, I do an acid wash to get the last bit of mortar. I'm usually pretty good at trim it, but my mixer was acting up, and wasn't paying attention. I was trying to see why my mixer was making weird sounds, and I had a water sprayer in my hand. Next thing I know, I had too much water in it. Hi, goaties. How you doing? How you doing there, Clarence, Mr. Clarence? Where's your mommy? Is she in there somewhere? Where is your mother? There she is. Hi, Bee. Hi, Archie. You're a good boy. You're the best boy. Yeah, I don't have any treats today. I just have a dog treat. You wouldn't like that. Hey, I'm going to show you. It's a blustery November day, and it was a dream of mine to get a 3-foot section of stonework done before winter set in. And it was hard this week because the day I worked on it, I was freezing wet, and I had to pick a day, 2 days, 48 hours of no rain, but I got it done. But let me tell you, before I show you this, so you won't be surprised, my stonework came out exactly the way I had dreamed about it. Now, this is very different from typical American stonework. Stonework that most people see, it's either fake stone or it could be real stone, but it's set up in these perfect little squares on houses to give them a certain clean look. This building is going to look old. I want people to think, man, this thing's been here for a couple of 100 years. And you got to think back a couple of 100 years ago, especially like in Scotland and Europe, other places in Europe, Italy, even around the Mediterranean, for actually, I was going to say hundreds, but actually it's been probably 5,000 years that have been building stone homes. And they build them with stone. Well, you know, then you go back to, you know, way back before mortar and things. But stone homes, to them, stone was just a cheap material that they find on the land. And they weren't trying to make it look decorative most of the time. They were just trying to make it stand up. So you got to imagine now, I'm going to show you my stone wall. Now it took a precise testing to mix the mortar to be the right color. and to put the stones in place, but I'm going to show you what my stone cottage is going to look like. Here we go. I still got a little work. This stone here has not been shown up very well. I need to work on that. I did it with a wire brush and some acid. This stone could need a little cleaning off, but who knows? I may leave it that way. I like to put a little bit more mortar there. I'm just telling you little improvements, but it's a rough looking building of stone, and that's exactly the way I meant for it to be. I got my going around the corner here. And this work I did on this took 40 hours to do just this section, and this makes up 7% of all the stonework I've got to do on this cottage. But you get a taste of what I'm trying to accomplish here, and you may not like it. I like it. I want it to look like a really old stone building, not some modern American translation of that. But that's it. I just want to show you. I'm really excited about it. I also did my 7th water test today for my drain lines, and it's passed so far. It's been several hours. There's not a drop leaking. Good morning. So yesterday I did my water test for my drain pipes and my vents, and it passed my inspection. Then the county guy came out to do his inspection, and it passed his inspection too. Now every time we talk, the county guy and I think we misunderstand each other, I don't know, but he led me to believe, or I thought he did, that then I could go ahead and do insulation. But he said, no, you have to have a structural inspection, which I thought we did last time, because he went around the structure and told me I had to add some things. So anyway, he spent quite a bit of time here, and he gave me a buttload of more work to do on the structure. I have to go outside and put lath on all my tar paper. It makes a little bit of sense, but it's lath that will go up just to hold the tar paper on until I put the stone on in about next summer, and then have to tear all that lath off. The other thing was, you can't see it now, but there was some moisture in this fireplace area. It's dry now, I'm putting a heater on it. And this area had been covered up because I had the stove sitting there. And so he was concerned about that. It's true, you don't want to put insulation up anytime there's moisture. So I went out in the rain yesterday after he left and worked. I can't go out this door. Worked on putting flashings where the wind was blowing from the east, driving the rain. You can see these flashings I put on yesterday. And I do want to go ahead. Oops, my tape already came loose. I want to go ahead and run some new tar paper up the chimney. I might do that today. I'm trying to get away from working on high ladders, and oh no, all this came off. Whew. Just tie that tape just does not stick. I'm trying to get away from working on ladders. I've spent so much this last year on ladders and had a couple really close calls, and I'm trying to get away from that. But I'm going to have to go do that. I might do it today because I do want to stop that moisture. And then all over the cottage, all the way up to the roof, I have to put that lath wood. But anyway, we may have insulation going in tomorrow. My job today is to pick up the junk on the floor so the insulators won't have to step over things. I've been working on that already. So that's where we're at. The guys doing insulation just left, and I'm coming out to check out what they've done. Ta-da! It is insulated, ready for drywall. Ooh, they even insulated around the door, which I wasn't expecting. It doesn't smell like cotton candy in here. Oops. Yeah, they didn't insulate that. I'm working on stopping a leak that's been in this wall. And I thought I saw they left me some insulation. They didn't. Oh yeah, right there. They love some batting of insulation that I can put in that wall once I get that leak stopped. Okay, that's fine. I think they did a good job. We talked about insulating this wall, but they didn't do it. Not a big deal, it's just for sound. But yeah, looks like it. Yeah, they put foam in. Good. I'm happy with that. So I'm working on getting this leak stopped. It's been really stormy with rain blowing in from the east, and it's made it very vulnerable. Now I found the spot that's leaking. So I can get that fixed, and then put the insulation there. And then I'm going to order a truckload of drywall and start putting up drywall. I'll put up my first drywall on this wall. So that's where my heat pump's going to go. And then we'll be set. A little bit exciting to see some progress after seeing none for a while. Welcome to a behind the scenes perspective. I'm here in my editing booth, my desk, working on these videos that you're watching. If you've ever done video editing, you know it takes a huge amount of time, and I wish I was better at this. I have one of my favorite, I follow several people who are doing the same thing as I'm doing. They have a different storyline, you know. I don't know any of them that's suffering from some kind of chronic illness, but two of them are in Italy, and that's one of the places I really wanted to do a restoration that I'm not able to do now because of my cancer. But their episodes are about an hour, and I enjoy them quite a bit. One of them I think is very good, videographer, and I have so much to learn, but it takes so much time to put these together because the video clips that you see are only about 30 or 40% of all the videos I take, and then I end up throwing away a bunch of them because I get so busy working. I just can't get the camera angle right and all this stuff. There's one guy, he's alone, and he's the one that's really good. His background was in graphic design, so I understand. He's a Danish guy living in Italy. But he does such good work. But anyway, I'd love to have feedback of people to tell me what I can do to make these better. I've asked this several times, and I've never had, well, I had one feedback once that was helpful. And you can do it by doing a comment in YouTube, and I can screen those comments so it won't go out to the public if you don't want it to. I can read it, and you say, hey, you need to do this. You need to make them shorter, or you need to make them longer. Whatever you think would work. So that's one of the things I want to say. And you know, I don't have illusions of grandeur that I'm going to get thousands of followers, nor do I necessarily want those. I just want to reach a niche of people that would find this helpful to them. And I don't know if I should talk more about cancer, because that's sort of the background theme to this one, or not. Some people are uncomfortable. One of the earliest things I observed when I was diagnosed with cancer 5 years ago is my cancer makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And it was always a mystery to me that they didn't want me to talk about it because it made them uncomfortable. I guess they're afraid that if I talk about cancer, then they'll get cancer. Seriously, I think there's some kind of psychological thing about that. I do want to talk about my cancer a little bit. I've been in really stringent remission of multiple myeloma for 2.5 years, and I am so grateful. The cancer left its mark on my body. I have renal failure from the cancer, and which makes me very fatigued. Plus the chemos I'm on now, 2 of them, make me very fatigued, which makes building the cottage complicated. I do my labs once a month, and I go in for an infusion, a chemo. Well, it's not really chemo. It's a monoclonal antibody infusion into my abdomen. And that's what's been my miracle treatment. My bone marrow transplant failed, unfortunately. But last month I had, after all my cancer markers had disappeared for 2.5 years, last month one of them came back. But I don't want to get into a long, complicated story. It doesn't necessarily mean the cancer is coming back, as it could be the monoclonal antibody can cause a false marker. And this month it was a little bit stronger, but also a little bit more tilting towards the false marker. We'll have to wait and see. If this keeps developing, it could be my cancer coming back, which my doctor in Seattle warns me it's going to happen one of these days, and then I'll be back in crisis once again. So one of the things that cancer has done for me, to a point, is that I think about death a lot, not in fear, but I think about how short life is for all of us on this earth. And what is our purpose of how to make the earth, not just the earth, but the world, a better place? And that's on my mind a lot. And I always go back to Saving Private Ryan, when Private Ryan is now an old man and he comes to the cemetery in Normandy, and so many men died trying to save his life. This is fiction, but you can draw real life things from this. Is he asked the question to his family, was my life worth it? I get choked up with these things, but I ask myself every day, is my life worth it? Have I made a difference in the world? One of the things that chronic illness does to people, I think most people, they may not admit it, and maybe not, maybe I'm the only one, but especially when it comes on suddenly. I had a career in medicine that was going very well. I just had driven down my driveway. We have a beautiful spot on the lake that we got by a fluke. And I said, man, after all these years, I feel like my life is finally dialed in. And my next thing was I wanted to age gracefully. I wanted to get my knee fixed and get back into running and start running a marathon. All these things, ideas I had. And then suddenly I become seriously, seriously ill. I was on death's bed. I was on my deathbed. But I was carried out of my clinic on a gurney. My medical world, where most of my social interactions were gone instantly. I loved my patients. I loved helping them, and they gave me such good feedback in the help I was giving them. And suddenly that was gone. And not only that, I was suffering physically so severely that first 2 years. And then I was put in strict isolation for 2 years. My wife was a hospital administrator working 12 hours a day, often on the weekends during COVID, filling for slots. I rarely saw her, and when she did, she was totally exhausted. And it was, your life goes into this. I became this quarantine. I became a hermit. And if it wasn't for my Saint Bernard, I'd have no conversations with living organisms on this planet during that time. And I would not go back to that for anything. As a matter of fact, if I died in my sleep tonight, I would be happy, because I don't fear dying. I fear going back into this phase of intense suffering. And I'm going to get into something really personal, and I don't want to offend anyone who's watching this. I'm just telling my story. I'm not talking about your story or anything like that, but I grew up in the South, Appalachia, in the Bible Belt, and I became an evangelical in high school, and I was involved with the evangelical group for over 35 years. Even went as a missionary under an evangelical flag to the Middle East to convert Muslims to Christianity. But during that process, it finally dawned on me, this is my experience, that the world I was living in was a farce. It was profoundly dishonest, factually dishonest, and emotionally dishonest. And I had a crisis, what they call a crisis of faith, that none of this made sense anymore. I came back to the States. I'm a very curious person. I love science. And I began to study and study and study. But here was my marching orders for myself. If there is a God, God has created all of reality, and reality, that which is consistent with reality, is called truth. And it makes no sense to me that to know that God, you have to enter a world of dishonesty and fake stories and pretentiousness, and that was the world I was living in. It made no sense. So I said, I'm gonna jump into reality, and if there is a God, I will find that God. And I even was an atheist for a while, but I didn't stop studying there. I began to challenge some ideas of atheism that also was absurd, just like The Christianity I was involved in was absurd in places. But make a long story short, I came back to a relationship with God, and profoundly different and profoundly richer than anything I ever had. But it's one built in a world of honesty, intellectual honesty. I love truth, and I don't mean truth in some religious term. I mean that which is consistent with reality, and a personal honesty, a authentic thing. But what I'm getting back to is connected to what I was saying. I left my medical practice, and most of my social interactions were in a secular environment, and I loved it. My best friends were atheists. We all shared this pursuit of truth. When I started to emerge then from my quarantine years, the only friends I had left were related to a church that I had peripherally been involved with. And I will be clear, I adore those people, and the vast majority of them are wonderful people and encouraging. We had 2 Saturdays in a row that about 15 people came to my house and built a garden for my wife, because I promised her I'd build her a garden. And I was so sick, I couldn't hardly make it from the house to the car. Here I was wanting to be a marathoner, and I was so sick and suffering so much. And I knew I could not build this garden. She comes from a farming family, and a garden was so important. So those wonderful people came out and gave 2 of their Saturdays. But in the midst of these wonderful people, I get a lot of criticism from religious people, and it's painful. And it's not, if you look at it, 1 or 2% of all these experiences, but it's so hard when, and what I was alluding to, that when you have a sudden onset of a serious illness, your self-esteem is destroyed. Your physical body, you age decades overnight. You have no purpose except to breathe and fight cancer. And I don't know if people admit that. I think some of the most dramatic ones are like people young who are like in their 30s or 40s who suffer a stroke and are paralyzed for life. And you have to know that impacts your self-esteem. So yes, I am oversensitive to criticism. But I have, during those 2 years of being alone, being a hermit, I entered this holy of holies with God, that I communicate with God day and night, could not sleep at night because of the suffering. And it was so intimate. And then to have religious people, they love to tell me that, Mike, your relationship with God is no good. And they say that because I don't conform to their culture, their religious culture. And from my perspective, and I'm not talking about you or your experience, so don't get mad and write me bad letters that I'm criticizing you. This is not personal. This is about my experience. Is that religion, the driving force behind religion, in my opinion, and it's not a camp, I'm not painting with a broad brush. Religion means different things to different people. But to me, the driving force is a search for piety. I want to feel pious inside my heart, and that's the crux of religion, is trying to develop piety. And I don't want piety. I don't want to feel piety. But piety, this feeling of piety, and if you talk to Freud or some psychiatrist, one of the easiest, or not easiest, one of the tools used to develop your own personal piety is comparisons. When I was in the evangelical group, we compared ourselves to each other all the time. Who follows the right teacher? Oh, your doctrines are wrong. My doctrines are better than your doctrines. And that's why there's, I think, 115 different Christian churches. They all say, we're the right one, you're the wrong one. But it's this competition for piety. And that's why we have culture wars. That's why the evangelicals, I believe, are so engrossed in this culture war, because they want to enhance their deep insecurity and piety, that my piety is better than yours. You're gay, I'm not gay. You're evil, I'm good. Just all these things. I don't like that quagmire. but my relationship with God is so intense and so wonderful. So when these people in the religious world write me letters, or in person is the most painful, and tell me that my faith is no good because I don't perform in their culture the way they expect, and that's not I have no ambitions of trying to conform to anybody's religious culture. But anyway, I'm throwing this in about myself in this journey of cancer. But I sit here working on my video, and I realized I left so many things out. But the thing I really want to say, I know I took that rabbit hole journey about my personal life, is I'm so glad you've come with me on this journey. And if there's anything I can do, if you want me to talk more about my cancer or less, some people, like I said, are very uncomfortable with talking about cancer. I can do that. I really appreciate your feedback. Subscribe if you haven't. And if you know the way YouTube works, if people like something, it pushes it up to be more visible. And no one ever touches the little like button on mine. I asked them to. I don't know why they feel embarrassed. It just takes a second, but it will make my videos more visible to more people. And this is not a commercial thing. I know YouTube puts advertisements on this. I don't get any money from this, nor will I ever want to get any money from this. But I do want people out there who are dealing with chronic illnesses, who have given up, because when I decided to build my cottage, it was a life and death decision, because my last year I was suffering so much. I began praying to God, seriously begging God every day to end my life, because I could not bear the suffering. So I have this wonderful family, 5 beautiful children, and the people they love, and I hate to leave them, but the suffering was unbearable. And I began to ask God, just end my life, end my life. And for the sake of my family, my kids, I said, I have to do something. I have to do something to fill these empty days. I write books, and I'd written 2 or 3 books that few people read. I don't know. I don't know how to market books. I think my writing is getting better and better. I'm into mostly fiction now, and I just finished my last book. And it connects to what I was just saying, that this last book dives right into the heart of the culture wars. It's a novel that centers on the issue of abortion, and hopefully I'll have it out next year sometime. But I had to find something, a purpose, and my dream in retirement had been going to Europe and restoring an old stone barn into a house. That was my dream. And I had to give that dream up with a lot of other dreams. So I said, God, give me the strength to carry some boards, to do some things, to build this cottage. And it's been very helpful for that. So thank you so much for coming along. I'll see you next month, and we'll see where things are at. Hopefully the cottage had been drywalled, and it has heat and those things. You have a wonderful day and a wonderful winter. It'll be winter time. I'd talk to you again.